The robot Al Indian lady from the subway station said that Bugs' brain and Trinity's
Is like
brain.
Trinity's.
So
and then
they need to unplug Trinity, then plug Trinity
when
in.
Trinity and Neo put their hands together, it explodes.
Neil Patrick Harris
So that's why
allowed them to break
they put
out
them together,
of the Matrix,
but not too close together.
If Trinity wanted to.
And if they put them
didn't want
together,
to,
then the
had to
power of
keep
their
Neo.
love.
But Neo had already left the Matrix. So how was it powering? This new Matrix is run on fiction.
And feelings.
And love.
And love. The most important.
And remember the Matrix?
Remember the Matrix
Love.
Revolution? Fucking Reloaded?
They barely cut to Reloaded. they didn't cut to that
No.
stagnant, boring footage.
They brought the Merovingian into this movie.
Who yelled garbled nonsense at us on left.
Remember when people weren't as fucking people in the video games remember how in society? What?
Just
what the
like
fuck are
this
you
movie.
talking about? This is not that movie though. You're full of shit. You're full of, where is that then? Show me that.
So Steven, I actually really liked the first hour of this movie.
Alright. Okay. Let's start with what was good about it.
Let's start at the beginning. And work our way through.
Just
Oh, the first hour, right? The first hour, it opens up with the sequence. There's like some digital loop, new Matrix code, and we cut to Thomas Anderson. He's a computer programmer.
Cut to John Wick.
We cut to John Wick. Also Bill or Ted or both. Maybe also Neo. A little bit of Neo sprinkled in there. He looks like John Wick. He acts like Bill.
It looks like Keanu Reeves.
But he may be Neo. And he created the Matrix trilogy a decade ago.
Video game.
Yes, and it's really like meta and self-referential and weird, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? There's a line where new Agent Smith says Warner Brothers has contracted you to make a sequel to the Matrix trilogy, and my brain is like, what the fuck?
It is, at the beginning, a little movie. It's a little movie.
We just stopped after that hour.
It's a little movie
Yeah.
about a guy, right, who's having trouble.
And it has like tone and atmosphere, like you can feel the claustrophobia and the paranoia and everything, the way it's cut and edited, and Keanu Reeves is amazing in the first hour, and they have that Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit little sequence where they're in like the meeting, brainstorming about the new Matrix 4, and they're talking about bullet time and shit, and
It's super,
it's really cool. It's derivative, and it's doing the same thing again, but it's self-aware.
Well,
so does that make it clever or dumb?
This is why I wanted to talk about the good things first,
Yes.
because the bad, what this movie is, and I wrote it down here, it is a shitty rehash masquerading as a meta commentary on the previous films and the previous state of cinema. That's what it is.
A clever meta commentary. It thinks it's very clever.
Yeah, so at the beginning, I'm watching it, I'm going, okay. This is,
It feels like they're trying to do something.
They're trying to do something. I get it.
It's exciting and there's pace, it's moving.
It's
not the Matrix Reloaded.
The cut-ins of the previous movies are not on the nose.
Yeah.
Okay, alright. We're doing it. We bring in where they introduce, Morpheus, and they sort of like foo-foo away the fact that they're doing the same thing over again.
They have that sequence where they walk out of the train and they're projecting the first Matrix onto like a ripped movie screen.
It was really cool.
And they're doing it looks really nice. It all looks beautiful.
Morpheus comes into the bathroom. He comes out of a toilet stall. And he's like, you know the deal.
So they still are retelling the first movie beat for beat, but the way they're doing it and the fact that it's self-aware and so self-referential and so meta and weird. There's something going on. It's interesting and I'm hooked.
Right. And then it does exactly what it's supposed to be.
What it was commentating on.
Which is reboots.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does
becomes
exactly.
The
It
Force
becomes a
Awakens.
reboot.
Jurassic World. It becomes the first Matrix.
Right.
He wakes up in the pod. We got the crew.
It does. Okay. No, it's not doing it insofar as beat for beat reboot of the movies. Right. It is a heist movie. That's
Yes,
what
it has a section of heist movie for sure.
Right, that's what it is. But it's not doing beat for beat. What it's doing is it's every 5 minutes referencing its past movies, which is essentially the same thing. It's hey, don't you remember this previous fucking movie?
Yeah, it's like, hey, don't you remember this previous movie? But also at the same time, it's like, hey, you know how media is always derivative and generic, and it's like self-referential, and but then it just does the same thing again.
It's fine.
When he wakes up in the pod, right? That's when I was like, but we've seen this.
Yeah, but that's it, right? I said out loud, I said, okay, we're here now. Right, now is the time to veer away from the self-referential stuff.
It's once it starts veering away from beat for beat the first movie, though, it just loses everything and becomes confusing and convoluted, and
it's not, again, because it's still doing it. It doesn't stop the meta self-referential commentary in the first hour is presented as a sort of psychological existentialism, right? In a clever cinematic way.
Yeah.
Right? Where it walks the line of being on the nose.
Oh yeah.
But
it's
acceptable.
Some parts of it work. The first hour I'm talking about. Some parts of it work, some parts will fall flat. But there's something interesting going on that's hooking me.
Yeah, and then he wakes up, and that's when the movie should have started.
That's when the movie should have ended.
No.
You have that first hour, then you roll credits. He wakes up in the pod, and it's just like, okay.
And the first hour is establishing what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
It's asking the question
It's asking the question what's going on, and then he wakes up.
Then it starts telling you what's going on.
Well, the answer, unfortunately, is exactly what you expected, which is just a shitty sort of unoriginal sort of like there's no original ideas, there's no nothing.
Alright, so let's talk about part 2. After the first hour, he wakes up in the pod and stuff has kind of changed. The machines and humans are friends.
Yeah.
Niobe is there in old lady makeup, and she's like your stereotypical. She's the same general from the
She's
third
the obstacle.
one.
She's the obstacle character. I said to you.
The antagonist.
We just watched Revolutions before watching this.
With Commander Cuckold, who's angry at Morpheus and his wife.
Commander Cuckold.
And now we have that lady, which she's playing that same 2D caricature.
Oh, you know, blah, 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 blah.
I don't believe that you saved everything, even though I see you save everything. I'm throwing you in jail because there has to be an obstacle for you to overcome, even though, really, she should be singing his fucking praises. He's come back 60 years later, he's only aged 20 years. He's Jesus. He did save everything.
Jesus. Yeah. He is literally Jesus.
Like at this point in time, you cannot keep on denying that he's fucking Jesus. We've all seen him be Jesus.
The problem is, like, she's talking about everything that she saw, and of course we're cutting in.
We're flashing to the old movies.
We're flashing to the old movies that she's talking about. Oh, you know, I saw the Sentinels in fucking. But despite all that, all that's gone. Everything that would have had an impact on me as a character is fucking gone, right? And you're going to jail. Goodbye, right? And it's like, okay.
And then they just bust him out of jail immediately.
She's not asking any questions. Like, cause she doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
No.
Neo doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
No one knows what the fuck's going on.
He hasn't said, I'm gonna destroy Io.
No.
She knows it's Neo, and he did it last movie, so he's probably gonna do it this movie. Even though he saved everything last movie?
The overarching theme is a very tried and true fucking theme, right? And it's the status quo has become complacent.
Oh, yeah.
And that's communicated to us through the younger, brighter, more idealistic cast of characters, which is fine. That's fine.
The new crew.
Except it's really boring premise, right? Because we've seen this premise. It's like I forbid you from doing any of this stuff. You know, Captain whatever her name was, Bugs or whatever her name was. Okay, and then she proceeds to just do whatever the fuck she wants to do anyway.
Yeah.
Which kicks off the movie, because we wouldn't have a movie if she just said, "Oh, okay, what's the term? Stood down or whatever.
Yeah.
Grounded.
Yeah.
I've been grounded.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm just gonna do what I'm told to do and I'm not gonna go any further." Well, she's not gonna do that or else we wouldn't have a movie. Right, so she does that. So what the fuck is the point of having the obstacle character in the form of Niobe, right?
They set up an obstacle and then the obstacle doesn't mean anything because they immediately fix the obstacle easily just by breaking out.
Which we've seen.
And then he's out.
We've seen that movie.
And then what happens? Then they go on the heist. So there's this giant robot bird that's a little Indian girl from the third movie in the train station. And her dad, Steve, worked at the Abnormalium. It's like abnormal.
He was the chief engineer of the Anomalium.
Abnormalium.
Yeah, because he's an anomaly of anomalies, right?
It's like a monolium, but it's abnormal.
And
do you get it? Abnormalium? Abnormal monolium? Chad. Trinity's
Chad.
husband's name was Chad.
And so it became the problem is that you do something clever in the beginning and then everything that follows basically shits on any sort of goodwill that you.
It acknowledges the problem of generic 2D reboots and then it just becomes a generic
2D reboot. Well, it wasn't.
It did other things.
There's two types of reboots. Right?
Yes.
There's one that is literally just the same movie again.
Yes.
This wasn't that.
Yeah, it did diverge at the end.
No. But
Halfway through.
That's the first type, and then the second type is and South Park does a great fucking thing. Hey, remember?
Yeah.
You remember this? That's the second type where it's basically like it's playing on nostalgia.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's also all this other weird commentary that's on the nose, like when they bring in the Merovingian. And his meta commentary, he was like talking about, people just want pew 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 pew, video games and blah 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 blah. Don't you remember when people used to talk in cinema? And it's like, okay. So that is itself saying, people's like expectations in cinema and art as being
the fine arts have fallen from grace.
Remember what the original Matrixes used to be? Well, that's because that's what it is, right? It's like, hey, right, people expect all this stuff, but we did all this other stuff back in the heyday. Well, that's really not a good message to send, considering the two Matrix movies after the first one were fucking shit.
Garbage.
Right? Utter shit.
Just like failings of film.
Hey, do you remember when movies consisted mainly of reverse shot?
Boring conversations about determinism.
But
even if it's not referencing itself, even if it is referencing like high art and like George Orwell in 1984 and stuff, which is what I kind of took from it. But then it itself is just generic pus.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's nothing
so
like
it's
that.
Hey, fuck society. High art is where it's at. Everything's fallen. It's like, we know we're watching it. We're watching the trash right now. We're watching this.
Where's our high art? You're not giving it to us.
No, you're spoon feeding
They were
it.
flashing back to the previous movies all the way to the end.
Yeah.
All the way to the end we were getting fucking flashbacks.
They went up to a tower. He fought Agent Smith in a bathroom. Him and Trinity.
Why is Agent Smith back?
I don't know.
We just don't.
He doesn't need to be there. So the main antagonist is Neil Patrick Harris, right?
Which is fine. I like Neil Patrick Harris.
He's a good actor. So he's made this new Matrix, and it's using Neo and Trinity's like bodies, their like energy, to power this new Matrix, and also it's based on like fiction rather than logic.
Yeah. So the original architect was like, the equation of the fucking...
but he's saying that fiction is really what
feelings.
powers
Fiction and feelings.
and
love.
Society.
Love. The Matrix is powered by love.
It's love. God.
Well, that's what it is, right? That's the theme of the fucking...
So they got Neo and Trinity's corpses and they reanimated them and now they have them in pods and they're using their love to power the new Matrix.
Yes. I don't...
You're killing me. You're fucking killing me.
I don't... Well, I said this to you. What I wanted, right, was for that first hour to just keep going. Right?
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves having like an existential crises and dealing with...
And then at the end, he's not Neo and he is just crazy. And
or
he just kills
something.
himself.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if, he wasn't actually Neo and he was just the shocking reveal at the end is that he's actually just a
like
crazy
Taxi
person
Driver or
who
something.
watched the Matrix movies and has gone mad. That would be awesome.
That would be so meta.
I know.
Would
It's
you...
like an hour and 40. You just put on like another 40 minutes after that first hour. He does some stuff. Shit escalates. Start getting more confusing. And then you cut to some guy that's not Keanu Reeves, has just murdered his mom and it's like, he's crazy. Roll credits. But instead, they save Trinity. It becomes a heist movie and they need to save Trinity because Neo loves Trinity. And they get her out and there's a fight scene for
It's such an on-the-nose, like, heist movie formula,
It has a lot of heist movie tropes.
But I don't want to see tropes. I don't watch movies.
That's the problem, right? It's the Niobe's character.
If I watch...
It's the heist movie tropes.
If I watch Ocean's 11, I know that is one of the ones that sort of, besides like the real sort of old school heist movies, that established part of our repertoire of modern movie tropes. And I acknowledge that and I can put that aside knowing that, right? Other heist movies, right, have to bring something else to the table if they're going to include those tropes.
But why did it become a heist movie all of a sudden? It was like some, I wouldn't say psychological thriller, but it was like using tension and suspense and atmosphere to like carry the tone, and then it just became some fucking generic heist movie.
It should have. So like Morpheus comes out of the fucking bathroom, out of the toilet stall or whatever, and like Neo starts fucking freaking out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, and the movie should have kept going like that. The whole movie should have been about trying to get Neo out of the Matrix.
That
should have been the whole movie. Right? He's in the fucking Matrix.
As soon as he wakes up from the pod, it just dies.
Right,
it just falls flat, collapses under its own weight, someone else's weight. It's
the
lack of
previous
weight.
movie's fucking weight.
It collapses.
I don't know. The fucking
It's weird.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie.
It looks nice.
It looks, it's not overdone with fucking bullshit. There's no overdoing bullshit.
And then, like, there has been time and effort into like the framing and the angle.
But that's not
the action.
That's not what I'm watching the fucking
the first couple action scenes within like the first hour, they were good. But then once again, we've already discussed this. We're going in loops just like the fucking Matrix, Steve.
I didn't want to fucking.
Once you don't care about the narrative, the action scenes don't mean anything.
No. Well, so they had the fucking again, like we had a Morpheus Keanu fucking fight in the fucking dojo or whatever. I just don't, and it's like what I wanted to say, and it's like at the beginning.
Nothing changes or is different.
At the beginning of it, right? At the beginning of that sequence, Neo's not fighting back. That's great. I like it, right? He's beating on an older guy, right?
Yeah.
And then it just turns into fucking kung fu again, and it's like.
We've seen this.
We've seen. Well,
why are you doing this again? Why is she doing this again? We've seen it.
Well, the fight scene with fucking the new Agent Smith, and Neo. It's the same scene again. It's the same thing.
I don't understand.
But so the point is this is exactly what I expected.
The Force Awakens again.
It's exactly what I expected.
But then the first hour, you're kind of like, oh, they're doing something else. But then they're not.
That's how they get you.
That's how they got us.
They pretend like they're going to do something interesting.
We're clever, we're tricky.
And then they don't. Then they switch it out from under you.
Breaking the fourth wall. This is meta. This is self-referential. Look how smart I am.
I was
a generic heist movie.
I was involved in what was happening.
So was I. That first hour.
Well,
I was like, this is
the beginning.
This is cool.
The beginning.
This is cool.
The beginning. Right? They're doing the Trinity fucking bit. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm watching, I'm going, oh, come on. But then
There's a mode.
But then, we step away outside of the sequence, and we're watching the
Bugs
sequence.
starts, talking about
And
it.
it's
She's
like, oh, this is old code.
This is how it all began. Something's going on here. And then it turns out Neo made the mode to break out.
Yeah, or something, right? That doesn't matter, right? That doesn't matter.
Cares?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's the thing that happened.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, right? It doesn't. You don't need to be about the nitty sort of.
Yeah.
Right. If it's all.
It's once they start trying to explain what's actually happening, it starts falling flat.
Right. And well, it's
like the ambiguity, the confusion of not knowing what's happening in the movie. Oh no, I don't know, man. I just don't know.
By the time we get to the point where they're hot wiring fucking Bugs's brain connection into fucking Trinity's brain connection.
The robot Al Indian lady from the subway station said that Bugs's brain and Trinity's
is like
brain,
Trinity's.
So
and then
they need to unplug Trinity, then plug Trinity.
When Trinity and Neo put their hands together, it explodes.
Neil Patrick Harris.
So that's why
allowed them to break
they put
out
them together,
of the Matrix,
but not too close together.
If Trinity wanted to,
and if they put them together, then the power of their love.
But Neo had already left the Matrix. So how was it powering? This new Matrix is run on fiction.
And feelings.
And love.
And love. The most important.
And remember the Matrix?
Remember the Matrix Revolution? Fucking Reloaded, right?
They barely cut to Reloaded. they didn't cut to that stagnant, boring footage.
They brought the Merovingian into this movie.
Who yelled garbled nonsense at us and left.
Remember when people weren't as fucking people in the video games? Remember how in society? What?
Just
what the
like
fuck are you talking about? This is not that movie though. You're full of shit. You're full of, where is that then? Show me that. It basically tries to be too clever.
Yes.
For its own fucking bullshit, right?
In conclusion, this is written by one of them, I think Laura. I think what happened was, Laura sat down to write this script. She was sitting there, she spent like months and months and months on the first act. Like, she got halfway, the first 500 pages she spent like 8 months on, and then the pandemic happened and she just rushed and she ran out of time. She just like scribbled through the rest and then they just filmed it and...
That seems to be... It's not cohesive. It starts off as a movie, like a movie.
And then just degenerates.
Do you remember what movies are? Do you remember what movies are?
Do you remember what The Matrix is? The Matrix? The first Matrix, 1999.
I was watching fucking Once Upon a Time in America the other day.
That's one of their movies.
And it's like a movie.
Yeah.
It's like...
classical cinema.
There's not a point... There's not a point during the movie where the movie you've been watching stops, right?
Yeah.
And then something else starts to happen that has... very little cohesion with the movie that you were just watching.
Actually, similarly, Citizen Kane. The first hour is really good, and then the second hour doesn't just fall apart into generic garbage. The second hour actually continues to be a good film. It's really interesting.
It continues to push the ideas that it established and the tones that it established, and it pushes them in a further direction.
It sets up ideas and then it pays off those ideas in a satisfying manner. There's no, just drop the quality. It's interesting. Movies. Good movies.
You know what it is? And we just touched on this in the Revolutions one, right? They almost have to make the real world and the Matrix two separate.
Yeah.
It's either one or all. Because as soon as you try to reconcile what's happening in one, for some reason, this person in particular is incapable of reconcile of like leaping from here to here and back, right? And remain cohesive and interesting, and not schlocky bullshit.
Revolutions, all the stuff in the Matrix was uncompelling or boring, and all the stuff out of the Matrix was compelling. And now this one, it's the opposite. It's all the stuff in the Matrix.
Did you see the fucking teaser for the movie that will never happen? That looks amazing.
What movie?
The robot Civil War.
Oh yeah, when the robots fought each other.
You know, right after the the thing, and it was something about the energy source or whatever, and I had like this flash of
like Terminator 2, Judgment Day with all the lasers,
and all the humans are sort of like, whoa, what the fuck is happening? Yeah, and it's like, where is that movie?
Cities. They're growing strawberries now.
That was the.
We got to see the strawberry growing. We missed the fucking machine Civil War. We cut to the strawberry growing. The prosperous town of Io.
They could have made a schlocky ass fucking machine Civil War movie.
Yeah.
And I would have gone and seen it and been like, this is fucking cool.
Not even have Neo or Trinity.
No, I don't. Why are they back?
Just have boots on the ground.
Why? You know what? They didn't justify.
Keanu Reeves is famous. He brings in those fucking paychecks.
Bring in the
Those tickets, Steve. We're not going to go and see The Matrix without Keanu Reeves.
They didn't
He's John Wick. He brings in the people.
We should have just watched all the John Wick movies.
Yeah, we should just watch all the John Wick movies.
They did not justify having fucking Neo or Trinity at all.
Morpheus.
Well, no. So the Morpheus thing is interesting because it's part of the cyclical Matrix thing, right?
The modal.
It just keeps repeating.
Yeah.
The Matrix keeps repeating.
I like how when he's in the real world, he's like all the nanobots.
Yeah, no, but that's cool sci-fi stuff. But they didn't utilize any of it. It's like, doesn't that look cool? Now, to take you away from that, meanwhile, here's this weird fucking bullshit that's going on.
Naomi, she's chucking Neo in prison.
You know, it's fucking, again, it's setting up this really cool sort of universe with all these possibilities and just not utilizing any of it to any of its potential, right? All the themes, we saw another glimpse of what the themes could possibly have been utilized like in the first hour, right? And then they weren't utilized and that's all gone.
Yeah.
Right? And then we see glimpses of the rest of the world and how the post, first Matrix civilization world looks like and could be cool, and that's not fucking utilized, right? And it's like, okay.
The heist movie premise was that utilized? What about bullet time used against them? Was that utilized?
No. I'm not even sure how that's a thing.
Because in the Matrix, when it happened, it didn't actually slow down. It just I don't know. No, they're referencing the movie, The Matrix, there, but within their world, which actually isn't our world. It is the actual fictional world of The Matrix. Bullet time, the term doesn't exist, but now it does. I don't know.
It's like it was like he was talking about it, and it's like it's speeding up time or some fucking weird thing.
He said the term bullet time. It's like,
I know,
Neo, I'm using that thing from the movie against you.
You know what is funny, right? Is so we watch the first Matrix or whatever, and they do bullet time. That's cool, and you sort of go, that's cool.
Different.
I like it.
We're talking 1999.
You know, he fucking basically, you watch it and go, what are they doing? Oh, they're fucking moving so fast, and we're watching that in slow motion.
I've never seen a shot like this before.
But the problem is in the first movie you watch it and go that, and that's it, right? You watch and go, yeah, that's really cool, and then we move on. In this,
they keep on talking about it.
Well, he breaks it down into some fucking thing, and all it does is make me start thinking about it. How does that actually work in the fucking... So they're running...
Well, in the movie, he was just moving fast, and just we as the audience seen it in slow motion.
Is that...
I think that's how... He's dodging the bullets. He doesn't slow down time in the first Matrix. He slows down... It's moving fast. We're seeing it slow as the audience. But it's so fast.
But that's not
what happens in this one. In this one, it's slowing down of time.
Yeah,
for expositional reasons.
So basically, and like, if anybody knows anything about fucking programming or games or any of that sort of shit, right? So we're running this loop.
Yes.
It's a tick, right?
Yes.
Frames,
yes.
Right? We're processing a bunch of shit every frame.
Yes.
Right?
Used to evolve a program. They say that.
The point is the whole fucking thing is a frame at a time processing, right? And
Okay, yeah.
it's processing.
Yeah.
And so bullet time is actually slowing down the entire...
The Matrix itself.
Well, that's what
The program. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
maybe.
Okay. No.
Which is dumb.
I don't know if that's what they said, but that makes sense. I like that. But I don't know if they ever say that.
But that's dumb, though. Because that would be a tremendous waste of resources to do something like that.
Who is Neil Patrick Harris? Why did he make this new Matrix?
He's the architect.
And what is he doing?
Who are you? And what are you doing here?
Who is he? Why did he do the things he did? And what happened to him? He died or something.
I'm sure that if you go back and listen very carefully to all the dialogue, it's all very, I won't say clear, but laid out and explained in minute detail.
There are a million throwaway lines which technically explain what happened. But in the format it's presented, it's confused and jumbled.
You know what?
It's fine if you explain something with jargon, but if the audience doesn't understand what's happening, then it's not well written.
You know what's funny? We complained about Revolutions just before, about the shot, reverse shot, standing and talking, walking and talking, right? And they overcame this, right? We didn't have shot, reverse shot.
It looked beautiful.
We just slowed down all of the main characters so the main villain could walk around him and explain in excruciating detail
confusing detail.
His motivations. So technically they weren't walking and talking or reverse shot or sitting and talking. Technically.
So, what you're saying, Steve, is that you enjoyed this film? It was better than The Matrix
wish
Revolutions.
I could erase things from my brain.
This movie in particular? What about The Matrix 3?
What
about The Matrix 2?
Everything.
The Matrix 1?
Just shut me off.
So after sitting down and reviewing all the Matrix movies, the conclusion you've come to is you wish you hadn't have watched them.
I wish I was dead.
I think that sums up everything well. In conclusion, after watching all of the Matrix movies, Steven wishes that he just hadn't. It caused you more pain than joy.
Yeah. Or the first movie is fucking just
perfect.
Beat a fucking dead horse.
A+.
Just beat that fucking horse as fucking hard as you can. Right? It's such a goddamn fucking waste.
She ran out of time and she rushed the second half. It got deleted and she had to rewrite it.
Really?
I don't know. Something happened. The studio rushed her. COVID fucked it up. She hit her head and she forgot what happened. She got Alzheimer's. She was
making this really cool sort of like indie-ish, like psychological film. And the fucking studio execs saw it and started to panic.
Yeah.
And they pressed the panic button and they fucking were like, nah.
They deleted the second half and they just hired generic nobodies in to fill out a heist.
They get Keanu Reeves and they put a blonde wig on him just so he looks fucking...
He has to look like John Wick. Because John Wick is popular.
Is there a fourth John Wick?
I think they're making one.
Yeah. I feel like they need to.
Fifth Matrix, Steve?
Oh yeah, there'll be a fifth one. They'll
bring Hugo Weaving back, Steve, and Fat Lawrence Fishburne. It's Fat Lawrence Fishburne. There he is. It's 90-year-old Hugo Weaving. And they'll cut to the Matrix 1.
I can't escape.
Or will they cut to the Matrix 4? They'll start introducing shots of the Matrix 4 onto the Matrix 5. No.
I feel like next there'll be a TV show.
Alright, we done? You got anything else you want to say about this franchise? This movie?
There's just no point.
Happy New Year, Steve. Are you happy you spent your New Year's watching 4 hours of The Matrix? Why are you all greasy? You're greasy. I may be sweaty, but you're greasy.
That's fine. We'll exchange sweat and grease. There we go.
Jeez. Like Agent Smith and Morpheus. You're disgusting. You're a disease. You're covered in chicken grease.
It's the smell. There is such a thing.
You smell of tobacco, Stephen.
I like tobacco. Yeah, nah, fucking, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. It's dumb.
Good night. Good night. Happy New Year.
I'm dumber for having watched this movie.
4 hours of Matrix things.